So I like to think that distributed energy is going to make up half of the new energy that gets installed over the next decade. Very hard to estimate that, but I think when you consider the cost benefit of installing solar locally, when you consider the resiliency that having local or distributed generation can bring to a grid, it's very natural to think that that's going to be a major continuing trend. The more efficient panels get, the better we get at installing systems, the higher the percentage of power we can supply to customers. That's being fueled also by batteries. Storage on site also enables a greater on-site generation, and that's certainly a huge trend for us today. The solar industry on a global basis is massive. We've installed a cumulative 2.2 terawatts of solar to date. In the Middle East alone, there's somewhere between 1 and 2 gigawatts of C&I solar installed and operating today. It's growing at a rapid pace. We expect it'll be 40% of the new installed solar in the Middle East. The transition to solar, specifically C&I solar, is only accelerating. It's driven by two things. First of all, the cost of energy, of solar energy, is coming down. Secondly, businesses are looking for cleaner alternatives, more reliable alternatives to providing. So cost and benefits. Our customers don't have to pay anything upfront. All we look for is a long-term commitment to buy the power. We'll make all of the investment and then provide them the energy at a lower cost. This has been attractive to many customers across the region. Carrefour, Aldar, Nestle. These companies are looking for a reliable supplier. They're looking for somebody they can trust for the long term. Yellow Doors, again, is an infrastructure investor. So our return on assets and return on investments is very much in that long-term infrastructure expected returns. And it's interesting because our businesses we're dealing with, be they logistics or manufacturing, typically have a much higher WACC than we do. And so one of the benefits of going with a Yellow Door solution is actually you're not tying up your capital as a business operator in an infrastructure investment. You're allowed to, you continue to use your capital on your business, which generates, the returns appropriate for your industry. Yellow Door Energy provides a clean energy alternative to businesses. We do this by developing, installing, owning, and operating a solar plant on a consumer's premise. We sell the power from that system to the consumer at a cost that's less than grid price. And we do it on a 25-year basis normally, providing customers certainty of price and a clean alternative. So our customers see the benefits quantified every month. And they really come in two forms. First, of course, is cost. So our customers across the board save somewhere between 40 and 60% on the cost of a kilowatt hour versus grid price. Of course, it varies a lot. Some grid power is more expensive, some locations are sunnier, but there's a significant savings. Secondly, on their bill every month, they'll also see the benefit of the CO2 that they've offset through the use of clean power. To date, Yellow Door's customers have cumulatively saved over 400,000 tons of CO2. We expect to hit 500 by year end. So it's a big milestone for us, and we're very excited about where that's going to take us. Two of the most exciting opportunities are the data centers and energy intensive users. One of our data center customers is consuming 95% clean energy provided by Yellow Door. It's fantastic in a way to shift them through the clean energy transition. The other is a steel company where we're saving them 40% of their grid power. And on the energy they consume for us, they're saving over 50% on the cost. Solar technology is absolutely evolving very, very rapidly. Um, but having been in the renewable industry for more years than I care to admit, um, we're also at a point of significant maturity. The technology has proven itself, it's reliable, and some installations are over 30 years old. Today, we're seeing a 5% improvement in efficiency from solar year over year. So over many years, that adds up. But in the short term, that's actually not that significant. When we as long-term owners and operators of solar equipment have to factor in the replacement of equipment over time, specifically parts like inverters that typically have a 10-year life. So in all of our installations, that is one of the costs that we consider, is the removal, replacement of equipment. And that's part of our service to the customer, is that we will keep the system operating. Now, the interesting thing, we're 10 years old now, so some of our systems are reaching, midlife or mid-contract. The question we're going to be looking at is, does it make economical sense for us and our customers to repower, to come back with newer technology? We're certainly not without barriers in our industry. Being in the energy space, regulations have a big impact on how quickly we can grow. The electricity industry is historically, in the Middle East region, one that's provided by centralized utilities, typically with a single buyer model. And where Yellow Door operates as a distributed generator, it doesn't fit well into that model. So every country is adapting in a different way. Dubai was very rapid back in 2015 to incorporate regulations that allow distributed generation. Today in Dubai, though, we are capped on how much we can install on most sites. Abu Dhabi has opened up and allowed more installations. Saudi's introduced new regulations. So these regulations are continuously evolving, and that's a bit of a challenge and also an opportunity for us, as we have to pivot and focus in different areas. When I think more broadly, probably the biggest technology barrier is the daylight hours. Obviously, you can only generate during the daytime. So technology-wise, what we're looking at today is implementing storage to allow us to generate more than is needed during the daytime, shift some of that power to the evening, and enable us to provide a greater percentage of what a consumer needs. We've got almost 100 plants operating. By the end of the year, we'll be at 100 operating sites. And our footprint stretches across the Middle East: Oman, Jordan, UAE, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and then South Africa. So that's a region which is hungry for power, which is growing in its demand, and where we're very happy to help the customers find a lower cost, cleaner alternative. We really have two big risks we have to manage. The first is the operational yield year over year. We've got a fantastic operation maintenance team, asset management team that are monitoring on a real-time basis the performance of all of our plants, dispatching cleaning crews and maintenance crews, using spare parts and making sure that our systems stay up to date. The other area of our business, the other area of risk that we have to manage, is our counterparty credit risk. Just like a bank that's lending a loan to somebody that gets paid back over many years, we need many years to recuperate our capital. We don't have security on the property or assets of our customers. We rely on the generation of the solar system. So as long as our customers are operating and consuming power, then they're going to be motivated to pay us as the lowest form of power. So there's an inherent reinforcement of the service we provide. And that's something which we take a lot of comfort in. Of course, we do detailed credit analysis before we get started, and there's some securities involved normally as well. Obviously, Yellow Door's business is very capital intensive. And And that's something which, so capital and access to equity and debt have always been an important part of our business. To date, we've raised over $500 million of equity in our business and very similar amount of debt. In 2019, we had 4 great institutions that trusted us with their investment. IFC, Apicorp, Equinor, and Mitsui. And that was a really important inflection point for Yellow Door. Their investment enabled us to scale both in number of markets and also megawatts deployed. Our second major investment came in 2022, about 3 years ago, where we brought in investment from Actis, a London-based private equity group, along with some of our existing shareholders who also invested more, again, allowing us to scale and grow. I think since the last round, it's really, Yellow Door has taken a step into a solid growth phase business, where we've got repeatable processes and execution, customers that trust us and want more business with Yellow Door. So it's really been a strong success story for us and our shareholders to see that step-by-step progression of Yellow Door. The world today is at a crossroads. Clean energy is being challenged by some stakeholders in our world. I'm a firm believer that it is the only way of the future. It's lower cost, it protects the world for our children, and it's more reliable. Everybody should be looking for clean energy as the way of the future.